Trey, how many calls have you done today?
I don't know, like seven, I think.
I know
I've done
you're
a
like,
bunch of them.
see, that's what happens, Trey, when you're just such a team guy and you just do so much for the company. It's like you just become such a hot commodity. So we are super honored to have you on. I know you're super busy and you're doing a lot for everybody right now. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for coming on.
Well, thanks for having me.
So,
I'm
Trey,
excited to be here.
I'm excited for you to be here. And I always love to have you on because I just feel like you're also just such a feel-good guy about the business. And it just like, I'm just so grateful to like know you and be able to look up to you in the business. So, obviously you've grown a huge team. And I always like to get the story just because Trey, we have new agents coming out of the gate like rapid. So before we get to what I really want to talk about, I do want them to know your story and your journey here and how much your agency has grown and kind of what you guys have accomplished up to this point. If you could kind of share that with people.
Sure. I got started with Family First Life in October of 2014. Prior to Family First Life, I had a bunch of different jobs. I was in the Marine Corps. I worked at a gym. I was the bookkeeper at a furniture store, which happened to stay in business, which is amazing. Um, I had a lot of commission sales jobs, but I had some baggage when I got here because when I first learned about Family First, the last sales job I had, they actually fired me and they threw all my stuff out in the street and told me I was the worst salesperson that ever worked there. And I actually got in a fight with two people on the way out the door. And I would have won, but the one lady was like 67. And so she hit me, she hit me in the head with a ceramic pot, is actually what happened. And the other person was a cancer patient, which is totally crazy. I didn't hit either one of those back. Um, and there was actually a third person. I actually got a fight with that guy. But I had some baggage when I got here because um, I thought I couldn't sell. And so the thing that got me excited about FFL was that they had leads. And one of the first trainings I heard was if you have a heart to help people and you're willing to serve and you're willing to work hard, you can do well because anybody can do it because it's not trying to sell somebody something they don't want or they don't need or they can't afford. This is something everybody needs, everybody can afford, and eventually everybody's going to use it. And so I'd had, my father had passed away with no life insurance. And then I saw how that devastated my mom. And then from the financial stress, in 2015, my mom passed away. And I really do believe it was from the financial stress of losing my dad and what she went through. So this was a real calling. It wasn't initially it was about the money. My first 90 days, I made like 45,000 bucks, which was more money than I'd ever made doing anything. That was gross. Uh, it wasn't the net, but still, like $45,000 hitting my bank account, I'm pretty sure they notified the Department of Homeland Security and thought it was like an issue because that never happened before. Like that didn't happen in like 5 or 6 years typically. So to do that in 90 days, like it was a big deal. And so, fast forward to 20, whatever it is, 26. I mean, my best year, just shy of $2 million in income. And I don't say that to impress anybody. I was never the fastest person on the track. I always worked really hard. I've made a lot of mistakes. I've repeatedly made the same mistakes a few times. But I'm really grateful to be a part of this. And this has changed my life. It's changed my family's life. And it's changed a lot of my friends' lives. Like a lot of the people in my organization are people that were in my cell phone when I got here. And so um, it's just amazing. I mean, FFL is amazing and it keeps getting better. So happy to be here.
I love that so much. And Trey, I love your perspective on it too, because obviously there's been some people that come and they have this crazy overnight success. So well, you guys are doing what, like 3 million, up over 3 million a
Yeah,
month, right?
3 million a month in life. Yeah.
Okay, that's a lot of volume. That's bigger than a lot of IMOs themselves,
Yes.
which is
Yes.
insane. But I think sometimes for new agents, Trey, like there's been also some agencies and some great people that just completely explode and they're like, oh, I'm doing 1 million a month, like in 6 months, like crazy stuff. And that's
Right.
amazing. But what's your advice to someone who might like be discouraged by that? Or they think like, hey, if my agency's not doing this much by 6 months in, like I should just quit or I'm not good enough, like to get comparative, if you will.
Yeah. It's really, there's always a story behind the story. And that's what I've learned. And one of the things that causes, I think, a lot of people to give up on the business is they're always looking to the left and the right, and they're not looking to the things that they can actually control and understanding if you're just consistent and persistent, this is a probability. Like it has to work eventually. My favorite story in FFL is Calvin Wright. Like Calvin Wright has a foundation right now. Like if you haven't had Calvin on a call, you should. Calvin's foundation, like he's going to double every 2 to 3 months until he passes everybody. Like that's what I see happening right now. Now, what's interesting is you'd look at it and think he had a slow start, but it's just the nature of it sometimes. Like a lot of the things that cause people to take a pause or compare themselves is stuff that's not even of their making. You just have to have faith that if you're consistently, persistently doing the right thing long enough, and you do it long enough for people to copy you, and you don't waver, that eventually it's going to work out in your favor. And having been here 12 years, I mean, I've seen people run to the top that you don't even know their names anymore, you know? And
Mhm.
then I've seen people that went through a roller coaster and then all of a sudden they're succeeding at the highest levels. And then I see people that took 5 years before they actually really started. And then all of a sudden they're Hall of Fame 3, 4 times in a row. And um, the best test in this business is the test of time, and time will either expose you or promote you. So the number one way to win is just to stick around. It's just, I don't know the person that's done it for a couple years that's not really good at it. I don't really know that person, you know? So
I love
that's
that.
how I look at it.
Test of time. Just keep showing up and do the right things, and eventually it's your story is going to be your story. That's huge. All right, Trey. Well, I don't know how you became the lead guy recently, but now you're like the lead guy. So last week I was telling these guys a little bit. We met you in Miami and we met with the owner of the company that generates these new inbound leads. Is that correct? Am I saying that right?
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct. Sure.
And now these inbound leads are like the new shiny thing. Like people are asking me about it all the time. Like, what should we do? So I wanted to kind of get your perspective, right? Because this is not the first live transfer company we've had, but people seem
Right.
to be crushing it. So I kind of want to get just the full story on what's going on with these leads. Who would they be good for? To-dos and not to-dos, good, bad, and ugly. Who should be buying them? Who should we not be? The whole thing.
Okay. So the first thing I want to say is um, it's not the end all beat all, replace everything you're doing, drop everything and switch over. That's never the thing about FFL. That's one of the things. There's several. There's several. Like if I ever got to write the documentary or the book, like the biography, I don't think biography is that, like the history. I'd like to be involved when they write the book in like some of the chapters. Well, one of the things that set us apart from the beginning was we never rested on our laurels when it came to leads and stuck. Can you imagine if we just stuck to direct mail? I mean, there's companies, there's IMOs that did that, and your agency is bigger than those IMOs today. We stayed above the fray and ahead on the lead game the entire time. So we're always looking for new, viable, vetted resources for leads to get people to have more conversations about life insurance and help more families. Um, Initially, what we did was direct mail mortgage protection, right? Then we had all these vendors, and then we locked out every county in America with every vendor that existed. We couldn't find any more vendors. And then the next thing when I started working for Andrew is we found a couple that would do final expense direct mail. So then we locked those down. Everybody's got final expense direct mail. Then we were like, well, we got to get more leads. We got to figure something out. So then we were like, hey, we're going to do more direct mail, but we're going to mail old mortgage data. We called those retros. So we started doing that. And then there's people who are like, hey, you could do this on Facebook. We're like, you can't do it on Facebook. Like, yes, you can. And then we figured out how to do it on Facebook. We were the first ones to do Facebook final expense leads. That was us. And then we did like a bunch of other lead types. We were the first ones to do vet leads. We were the first ones to do a lot of stuff. And so what this consumer initiated inbound call is, but I want y'all to understand, it is the most viable, scalable, vetted lead source we've ever had. Because at the same time that Family First Life was pioneering and pushing simplified issue life insurance into the marketplace, because when I started in 2014, people thought you were bad if you sold simplified issue. Like they would like scold you and be like, Mary is paying $7 more for her policy. You, my sir, are a thief. You know, that's what they would do. And then we would be like, no, no, like Like Mary's not, because if she waits 6 months to get the policy, she could either die or she won't want it anymore. And then the insurance company will say no until all the other insurance companies will say no. So we pushed this simplified issue concept into the marketplace. And now every carrier is looking for a way to do simplified issue so that Family First Life will work with them. That's actually what's happened broad scope over the course of, since 2013. Now, at the same time, in the lead generation business, lead generation was only data leads until Ringba came along and took this concept of pay per call and created a platform, which what Ringba is the pipeline for the leads. And so every call in America that's generated on the internet from a ad campaign that's a call only ad touches the Ringba platform at least one time, either from the seller perspective, the person selling the call, the buyer perspective, the person buying the call, or the recording of the call uh, audibly, like the audio recording for compliance for the transcription. So when one way or another, it's hitting Ringba, and Ringba in the same time that FFL has become the go-to place for simplified issue and drove the insurance industry up, Ringba's done the same thing in the lead space, but they did it with calls. So people used to look at inbound calls like, oh, that's hocus pocus, that doesn't really work, 100,000 reasons why it wasn't good. So now a majority of the life insurance volume that's driven outside of our space is driven by this lead type. And so they do hundreds of millions of calls a year, billions of dollars of sales comes from that. And now we're in a place with this integration with Integrity Connect, where their platform talks directly to our platform, that we can really scale this thing. We're taking about 1,000 calls a day today, and we're going to scale that to 10,000 calls a day and 20,000 calls a day, and not to replace what everybody's doing. I don't think everybody should drop what you're doing and just do this. There are people that just do this, just like there's people that just do mortgage protection, and there's people that just do vet leads or whatever. People just do IULs. This is not without its challenges. Um, there's some really good things about inbound calls. First of all, the only person you have to worry about answering the phone is you. That's good. That's kind of a cool thing. Um, there's they're calling you, like that's a positive thing. Some people just can't dial all day, but there's also some downfalls to it too. Like one of the things people do when they get on inbounds is they neglect the persistency piece of that, because people are calling them, they forget to firm the sale up like you would if you were outbound. They forget to send a text when the money comes out and what the benefits are and who the beneficiary is, and call me if you have any questions. So there's challenges, there's things to learn. We had some tech issues initially where I'll tell you, I'll be honest with y'all, like the call flow we have, like people should never actually wait more than a minute. I mean, that's the kind of volume they can drive. And when we tested this outside of the ILC, we had that. Now, people are waiting. They're waiting 5 minutes. Sometimes they're waiting 10, but they're still getting calls. But we're working the kinks out in the system to where that's not going to happen. And we can drive the volume up dramatically. So that's something that's coming. There's going to be different product types in the ILC that you can buy, which will just be straight vet leads. You can do vet leads. You can do short duration pre-screened calls. So right now, the way it works is we kind of made a mistake with this, but I'm going to tell you what we did. We gave everybody a 90-second buffer. Like you have 90 seconds to quote unquote vet the call. That's not really what it's for. It's for you to convince the people to stay on the phone with you. That's but people hear it and they go, I got 90 seconds to get them off the phone. I don't have to pay. No, what we learned is the people that take the most calls are the ones that sell the most insurance. And so we have lots and lots of data to prove that to be the case. And I think what happens is y'all are outbounding, like we all outbound, like we go get the clients, like we call them. And if you called somebody up and they said, hey, I don't remember filling that out, like you know what to say. You'd be like, well, I don't remember what I ate for breakfast. Is your birthday 3/14/1954? Yeah, well, then it's you. And then you would just keep going. And so the same is true with inbounds. People are going to call in and they're going to give you resistance in the beginning because they don't want to get got. And so you got to learn how to build a relationship, build a bridge, and pull people into the call and build value for what it is that we're doing. And the people that are rushing, trying to get off the phone in the first 90 seconds, they aren't having a lot of success because they're not getting billed for the calls, but they're having conversations with people and they're avoiding closing opportunities. If you want to do well with this, it's about how many people can you get to the point where you're showing numbers where it makes sense and you're building value and you're asking them to buy it. And so,
And Trey, I love that. And I think what I was understanding too when we had that meeting last week is that this, if you're going to implement this in, if you're an agent, you're going to implement this into your strategy, it's a learning process that you're kind of embarking on for the longevity of it. So what I want to make
right,
sure, guys, that you guys know, because some of you guys are like, Marsha, should I do inbound calls? And that's why I had Trey on the call tonight because he's like the master of it. But you should do it if you're willing to actually take time to master it. So if you're like, hey, I'm going to take 3 calls and if they don't buy it, I'm not going to get them anymore. Well, then you're actually going to hurt the system. So from my understanding, Trey,
right.
and I think this was really important for me to understand and really important for everyone on this call to understand if you want to do inbound calls, is that it is a journey, but also it works a lot like marketing and ads. This is like the best way that I can wrap my mind around it, and almost like an algorithm for like your social media and your ads. So just like when you guys run ads on Google, right? The more you run and the more you spend and the more quality stuff you continue to run it for a long duration of time, the more Google shows your stuff. Like if you've ever run anything, any sort of advertising, that's what it is. So guys, just to give you a background, when I first started running advertising for our agency, I would ask Lonnie like, dude, we're not getting anybody. We're not getting anybody. And I'd be like, turn them off, turn them off. And she'd be like, yeah, but you can't do that though. The way it works is the longevity of the more you run it, the more you spend, the more budget you put into it, the longer you're willing to do it, the better quality and more you're going to be seen online. So with these inbounds, guys, it's the same thing, Trey, from what I'm understanding. So the agents that are like trying to get off the phone as quick as they can so they don't have to pay for the call are actually getting less quality calls because the system knows that they're doing that. Is that correct?
That's 100%. So let's say it costs you $55 for a 90-second call and you're getting off 4 out of every 5, right? The person sending you the call, in order for them to make money, they have to be able to generate the call for $12 or less because they're only getting billed 1 out of every 5. Like they're only getting paid 1 out of every 5 because you're getting off the phone. So those
So
10 to
they're going to
$12
want to send
calls,
that to an agent that they think is going to stay on the phone and be able to convert the lead, as opposed to
yes,
like, I'm not going to send it to Trey because Trey hangs up in 30 seconds every single time.
that's right. So the only way to keep you getting calls is to send you the worst ones that cost the least amount of money to generate. But if you start taking 40% of the calls, then what will happen is the publishers see that and go, hey, you know what? This call took $26 to generate. They know it costs money. They even said they have a budget for it. And the reason why they filled it out is because they just buried their spouse 3 months ago and they don't want to leave their kids with a burden. They send you that call. That's a really easy one to close. But if you're taking 1 out of 5, they'll never send you that call. And so it's really important to just look at this like, I always think it's an advantage. This is interesting. It's like my grandmother, like she grew up on a farm with like 12 brothers and sisters, and like they would like bury meat in the ground to preserve it, and like they picked crops and did stuff like I don't think anybody alive knows how to do that anymore. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like the people that did in-home, we still have an advantage because every time I hear somebody on the phone that's 70 years old, I've been there. I know where they live. I know what's hanging on the walls. I know what they have in their refrigerator. I know what the house smells like. They're not going to convince me anything. Like I know exactly who they are. They're the same clients that we've always had. And so if you just understand that, these are the same people that when you call a vet lead and like they're gonna, they're driving or whatever, or they don't have time to talk to you right now, or they don't answer, or they think it's free or whatever, it's the same thing. These are the same people. You're just meeting them at a different point in the process. So if you can just get your mind around, this is somebody who has requested information about insurance. And here's the thing I want people to know too, is a lot of times on the ring bug, you'll get people that think, I want the free $40,000 benefit. Now, if you look at our boot camp, which by the way, this is the boot camp,
Yeah, can
I'll
you
put
drop
it in the
that?
chat. Yeah. I put sample ads in the boot camp so you can see exactly what they say, what they see. And so you don't have to be confused about what it is they're seeing. Like nobody's lying to anybody. Ringba vets the publishers like you wouldn't believe. And if they catch somebody cheating, they kick them off. And they have so much power in the industry, nobody wants to get kicked off. They want to be compliant with what they're supposed to do. So even these leads that think it's a $40,000 benefit, there's a video where people are like passing around money and they're jumping up and down, and it looks like they won the lotto. They said that was free. And the crux of the video is when you pass away, your family gets money. And then they send you through 3 pages of questions that say life insurance, life insurance, life insurance. So there, don't let them trick you into thinking that it's free. It's like they're saying that so you don't put the bite on them right away. So one of the things, and we have this other site for those of you who are running these, callvault.net. If you go to this, I only have a couple examples. I'm going to upload a bunch of call examples tonight. I listen to the calls, I edit the calls, I take out personal identifying information so you can hear it, what to do, what not to do. And that's the other thing is these are scrutinized from a lot of different directions. So there's people going to be listening to your calls. Like you can't cheat it.
Yeah, and
So
I think that's really cool too, Trey, because it just shows that they're trying that you guys are doing everything you can. Integrity, ring button, the whole system is designed to make agents better. But the agents
yes,
have to also be wanting to help with that system. So just so you guys know, on the inbound calls, that Trey literally doesn't sleep because he stays up and listens to all of them. They're all recorded because what they're trying to do is they're trying to figure out who, and they already know, but they're trying to figure out who is doing the best and what are the ways, who's closing the most and why are those agents closing the most. Let's listen to their calls and see what they're doing. So also guys, I also love this too, Trey, because it's so compliant. You're not going to get on the
yes.
phone on a recorded line as an agent because you shouldn't and do anything dumb or say anything dumb that you shouldn't say to a client because Trey's going to be up at 3 in the morning listening to it. No, but for real. But my point is like that's the whole process, and I think this is really cool. And even when you bring up like old things, like Trey, I had to lock out leads, and I remember I couldn't lock out any leads because that was when like at the time when like Nina and Hayden and Grady and everybody was in the field. So like if you couldn't get leads in your county, guys, I know this is like going backwards. You had to go to a different county, lock out the leads, and then you paid for them whether you could run them or not. Like you couldn't just turn them off. You had to sign an agreement that said, I'm paying for every single lead that's coming in, no matter how many come in. So you might get 100 in a month, you might get whatever, and then like your credit card's just getting charged no matter what, and then you had no choice. So just to say, like to see where that is, Trey, and I can't even imagine what you guys did, just when you only had direct mail. Because I came in right when it was like we just started Facebook leads, which was like really cool. But the point is, like, to see now this whole system. But I think the point that I want you guys to see is that like this is a team effort. So, Trey, one of the things I'd love for you to hit on is you talked about some agents in the business, and this is really good from a recruiting standpoint too, and even some people on our team that maybe hadn't been successful on dialing for whatever reason, whether it's they're part-time, they don't have as many hours, whatever it is, that now we're seeing a lot of success. So, what are the situations of some of those agents that you think this is really helping so we can tell some of our agents who maybe have similar situations?
Well, perfect. Well, and Marissa's not going to brag on herself, but I'll tell you back when she started, it was quite legendary because she got in a car with 2 other ladies and drove 3 states away and like did a travel trip like her first weekend and sold like $1 gazillion. Or maybe she didn't that first time, but it took a lot of guts to do it. And it was hard just to get people to like go in their own neighborhood. And here she was just doing whatever it took right from the beginning. So kudos to you. Good job. Um, so what we've noticed, and all of you have this, all of you have really great people that didn't make it for whatever reason. Now, I'm not saying go back to the ones that were problems, but everybody has that one or two that you think you should probably give another chance to. Inbounds are a great way to get people moving because it's not a complex way to get people started. There's a script, and if they can take 4 or 5 calls the first day and actually present numbers, they'll make a sale. There's an agent, Sam Namovi, whose team is doing a couple $1 million a month now. All they do is inbounds, and they've run the numbers and quantified this thing in ways you can't even imagine. And what they've discovered is statistically, it's a 20% close ratio. You close 1 out of 5, and the average premium is 1,200 bucks. So what that means is if you take 40 billable calls, that's 10K. That's it. 40 billable calls is going to cost you about 2,000 bucks. And that's 10K in issue paid premium on average over time. You may not be that good in the beginning, but you can get that good, and it's a consistent, you know, large number workflow that we've looked back on over the course of a couple of years. And so the neat thing about that is you could take 40 billable calls in 3 days. You really could. There's enough flow to do that. And so what I did is I went back to people that just had a hard time dialing. They just could sit there for 10 hours and dial. But they'll work. If the phone rings, they'll answer for 10 hours. And that's been the most shocking thing. Because I used to write them off as like lazy or unfocused or whatever. But they'll sit there all day. Like it's 8:30 at night. And it's like 11:30 where they are on the East Coast. It's 8:30 on the West Coast, and they're texting me, "Hey, are calls? I can't. Can I not get calls?" I'm like, "Dude, you started at 6 a.m. Like, where did this work ethic come from?" So it's just another way to skin a cat. I'm super excited to see people do well with it. I got this agent on my team, Tim. He's right at 20,000 for the month, and Tim was with me, couldn't issue more than 5,000 a month, wanted to switch teams, ended up switching teams. Nobody switches teams, but I knew the other manager, and I was like, "Hey, if you can help Tim, I can't figure it out." He goes over there, it doesn't work. He wants to come back. I'm like, "Dude, I don't know. It didn't work last time. I don't know what to do." All of a sudden, he gets on the inbounds. He's like, "This is life changing." Like he has stuff. He didn't even have a car. Which okay, I'm not saying you should just go hire a bunch of people with no car. I'm not saying he's a different kind of dude. Like you'd like him. All of you would like him. He's a good dude. Um, but it's been amazing to watch because yeah, he's issued right at 20,000 for the month, and he loves the inbounds, and he'll just sit there all day and take them, and it's just the best thing ever. And so all of you have
Yeah.
agents like that, and it's really great.
And I love that, Trey. And guys, here's the thing. It's just like anything else in the business, right? If you want to take any sort of I don't think it's a shortcut. I think it's an advantage, but it's gonna cost. So I think that's the thing too, Trey, is like we talked about last week. You had a couple girls at the meeting that were like single moms, and they're like, my biggest thing was I just couldn't sit at the table and dial all day. But I knew like my kids were, had this going on for this amount of time. So just to be able to turn on the calls and get people calling, even though it's more expensive, it was allowing them to close more because they were like, my thing is I just can't outbound dial. And then the other thing, guys, so it might work for a different type of agent, right? If you have people on your team that are part-time and they're like, hey, my biggest thing is it's not that I can't spend money on leads. I can spend money on leads. I just don't have the ability to outbound dial for sit down at my desk for 8 hours. This might be an option for them, right? Maybe if you've been trying something else for a long time and you've mastered your strategy, you figure out how to add this in and you figure that doesn't mean you don't dial, right? I've seen a couple of us that are like, hey, I haven't got a call in 20 minutes. It's like, okay, that doesn't mean you can dial a couple leads, guys.
Doesn't mean you can't dial,
Yeah, it doesn't like your
right?
dialing ability, like it's not like your outbound voice stops working and now you only have an inbound voice. So I think what's super important and why I want to have this call, Trey, is because I want people to understand that there's an option. I want people to get it's not, they're not $3, right? So if you're at a place where you're like, hey, I still just need the cheapest, right? This is not going to be it because these are going to be the most high quality vetted. The system has done a lot of work for you to get these people on the phone, but it's another option to add into your arsenal. It's another option for you to have for maybe new agents or agents that maybe have a different scenario, right? Like same thing, Trey. I used to have this guy, I don't think he works with us anymore, but he could only work like 9 to 11 at night. And I remember like he doesn't work with us. I should call him back and see like if he could still do this because he could do different time zones now. But it was like such an issue because he was like, if I dial for 2 hours, like if I don't get anyone on the phone, that's a struggle. So maybe this is a tool for a type of agent that you guys have on your squad that maybe needs something like this. Like I can spend the money, but I don't have the time, right? But also, guys, I wanted you to be able to understand the way that the system works, the kind of, I don't know if algorithm is the right word, but how it's designed so that way you guys understand that this is a journey of getting better and closing and learning how to be better on the phone still and still growing our skill set, not just like, hey, I have 90 seconds to get these people on the phone. And then you're like, these leads suck. And it's like, well, because you're hanging up on them every time. So they're not giving you the good leads and they're not going to send you anymore. And that's why you haven't got a call in the last 20 or 40 minutes because the people that are running the call center and the people that are sending out the leads think that you hang up on them every time. So they're not going to send them to you. So just so you guys can kind of get the feel of this is an extra tool. It's an effort, extra resource. I think it's great. We have some people on our team crushing it. Trey's listening to all their calls. And but it's not the magic pill, but we always just want to be talking about what's going on. So, Trey, one more thing really quick before you get off. You had talked about Marisa and Rami were there. And you were like, hey, out of all the calls I've listened to, Marisa and Rami have been the ones that have been probably the best at closing, handling objections, things like that. What are some of the things that those two are doing on these inbound calls that are allowing them to have more success than other people?
Well, what I was saying was they're really good at teaching people how to handle the objections. They're really good hands-on salespeople, and they both sell Hall of Fame every year. And so they have agents on their team that are taking the calls. And rather than just complain, they're going to Maurice and Rami, and Maurice and Rami are going, well, why didn't you just say this? Like you had them on the phone. That's like half, dude, the majority of the battle is just getting people to answer the telephone. I mean, that's it. If you could just be on the phone, I had one agent, and if you have poor quality, like if you're not taking enough calls billable, which you need to take 30 to 40% of the calls billable to stay on. So we had this agent, Will, and they were going to kick him off because he'd take like 30 calls and not take one billable because he's like, they thought it was free. They just, and I was like, dude, like, you need to really figure out what you're doing here. And then all of a sudden, he turned it around. He has the highest revenue per call of any agent on my team,
Wow.
and he takes the most billable. And I said, dude, what changed? Like, what happened? And he goes, I was just wasted a lot of time trying to figure out how to not be on the phone all day. And I just had to figure out that in order for me to make money, I need to be on the phone all day. So if somebody calls me, I need to try to sell them. And that was just the mind shift that changed it all. So Maurice and Rami have a couple agents. One is this guy, Leo Martinez. Um, Leo Martinez, there's a call on the call vault where the person goes, hey, I'm calling for the free $40,000. And also in the boot camp, you guys can see the ads. You understand why people are saying that. It doesn't say that anywhere, but people see what they want to see or hear what they want to hear. So I'm calling for free $40,000, whatever. And then Leo goes, well, I assume like most people, you just wanted to make sure your family wasn't financially burdened when you die. Is that why you called? And he goes, yeah. He goes, well, perfect. The good news is these plans are for fixed and limited incomes. Let's see what you can qualify for. What state are you in? And just moved just so effortlessly right past it. Where the person said what it was, and he sold it for $111 a month. And the guy was happy and he was happy. But what some people will do is they'll go, oh, really? Well, what did the ad say? And why, I don't know why it would say that. For your age, you're looking at somewhere between $80 and $116 a month, and you're probably not going to qualify because you sound like you have COPD. Are you really sick? Like they just stuff like that, just trying to get off the phone with the people. You'd be shocked. I posted some of those too. It's kind of messed up, but I take the agent's name out, so you don't know who they are unless you recognize their voice. But the ones that are having the most success are the ones that just like understand it's a phone script, just like any phone script. If you outbound and they go, hey, I was just looking, or I got it taken care of, or I didn't fill it out, or um, whatever they say, like y'all already know what to say. Like you have your ways of getting around that and moving it to go get them to get a pin so that you can sell them some insurance at the end of the call. And you're not trying to give somebody, if you call a vet lead and they go, I just want to know how much it is, how much is it? You don't go, well, how old are you? 74? Well, for your age, sounds like you're a smoker. It's going to be $375 a month. Not 74 seconds into the call. Like if you do that, you wouldn't sell insurance to nobody, right?
Right.
So we just got to get people out of the whole mindset of like, that's where people are messing it up. The people that aren't doing that, that are not afraid to spend money, are 5xing what they're investing. And the neat thing is the speed of it, because you can invest 1,000 a day and make five, and then do that again tomorrow. And the lead flow is plentiful, and it'll stay plentiful for a really long time. Just to give you guys an example, on the Ringba Exchange, we rejected last Wednesday 178,000 calls. They tried to send us 178,000 calls that we didn't have availability for. So it's there. Now, some of y'all go, well, I was sitting for 20 minutes. I know there's an API issue. We're going to make it to where that doesn't happen, where it's going to communicate back and say, we really don't care if it's this state, or they're going to figure that out. Trust me, they're figuring that out. But just to know that that call volume is there, and that'll maintain, like that'll stay there. It's like that every day. There's 100,000 calls, and we can win those bids and we can get those calls. And then it's amazing to recruit to, because nobody else is going to be able to do this at the scale we're able to do it. Some people had talked about the Spectra leads with Sam. Those are coming through the ILC as well. In the next product launch, we're going to have a pre-screened 30-second billable for $48. Those are all going to be Sam's calls. And so excited about that. It's not going to be 90 seconds, but it'll be 30 seconds. And they're already screened, so you don't need a whole 90 seconds. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's getting better.
And and I love that too, Trey, because I think you hit it on the head. It's what's happening is people see something new, and people being myself sometimes as well, and then you abandon everything you know. So like people are like, I'm not going to get objections because it's an inbound call. Like you're still going to get objections, and you're going to overcome them the same way you normally would. So that's I think the thing, guys, is if you're going to do this and if you are doing this, you can't abandon everything you know about your previous conversations, right? It's almost like people are like just because they called me, now I'm going to be like, oh, this is the price. That's this. Are you getting it or not? And it's like that wouldn't be how it would be if you did an outbound call. So treat them like your outbound calls and talk to the people like your outbound calls and overcome their objections like your outbound calls, and you'll probably do just fine. But you can't abandon the skill set that you've built on outbound dialing. You can't just like abandon everything you know. You need to use that to get better at this. So I think that's really awesome, Trey, and this has been great, and I think this is going to be a great tool. Now, another thing, guys, that I think that's really important, and this is why like I love Trey so much, and why this is really important, is I always get really, really nervous. Well, not really nervous, but I get a little bit nervous when someone is only promoting a lead company that they own. And that's why I think it was super awesome of like Trey's just trying to help the company. And he's like, I'm like, can you get on the call? Because I don't really know. And these are like kind of, FFL's working with Ringba. I know Sam's got his thing, which is great. And he's helping some people out as well. But obviously Trey's an integrity partner. He does not own this lead company. So that's super awesome because I always am like, if someone's like, hey, I have this lead company, only buy my leads and only for my agency, that's where things get like kind of weird. And so Trey, I think this is super awesome because you're just like, hey, this is a great resource. I'm going to share this resource with everybody else. Trey doesn't make money on it. He doesn't own the company. He's an integrity partner anyway. So integrity, they own their partners with their business anyway. So, and he's just like, hey, if we can all help with Integrity Connect can get better. And then we can figure out how to integrate this thing and we can just kill it. So, Trey, that's what I love about you because this isn't the Trey Honeycutt lead company, or he wouldn't be on here and I wouldn't be asking him because I'd be like, oh, of course he wants us to buy his lead. So this is really, as objective as you can get because of the success that other people are having. And guys, doesn't mean it's for everybody either. So you could also people would buy Trey's leads, Alex, that's for sure. But you could also say, hey, now with the information that I have, this is maybe not a good option for me, and this is why it wouldn't be good for me. So what we wanted to do on this call tonight is just give you all the questions answered, kind of tell you what's going on behind the scenes with the tech. Let you know that it's a journey, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Trey's working really hard. Guys, if you are on the inbounds and you are, Trey's listening to your calls, like obviously we want to make sure you're doing the trainings, right? Those links that he put in the chat is really important. Some of you guys are just jumping on inbounds. You're not doing any of the training that they're putting forward. And they're like, this isn't working. And it's like, well, you didn't do anything that the people who are successful at inbounds told you to do. So like, of course it's not working, right? So let's just be really diligent about and also working as a team, right? It's kind of one of those things like we were talking about for our March Madness, Trey. We're doing a huge sales showdown, which is going to be bomb for lead credit. But I'm kind of like, hey, if you have one team that's like submitting fake business or doing dumb stuff, like they're going to ruin the whole contest. So this is kind of the same thing, guys. If you are going to be serious about this and you get on the platform, you getting on the platform and being a great agent and learning and building your skill set and taking more calls and being willing to invest the money is helping the overall volume of the company. It's helping the overall algorithm and tech. I keep saying algorithm, but I know it's not the word. Like it's helping the overall tech. So if you're going to get on and you're like, hey, I'm kind of just like about myself and I don't really care about the whole system, like this is kind of like everyone, let's make it better together. And I think that's really cool, Trey.
Yes, I love it. I did see one question in the chat. I just want to answer it real fast. So, a state you're not licensed in, if that happens, get the license. Like, there's only a few where you have to get fingerprints that you can't get the license the same day. If it's California, Florida, or Georgia, I think you got to get fingerprinted there. Everywhere else, you could pretty much just get the license the same day, and it probably will work. Um, so if it happens, get the license. It doesn't happen a ton. If you find out in the first 90 seconds and you can't get the license, you can get off the phone on those. That's a legitimate reason to get off the phone. Now, I have a ton of agents that will not get off the phone. They're just like, I'll just get the license. It's $113. I'm going to sell this. So
Yeah. And
there you
also
go.
just like you said, Trey, if you're on the phone and you're closing them and I mean the license might be 30, $40 at the state and then you just closed it for $1,200 premium, like you're good to go either way. Plus the lead cost, you're still a lot of ROI on that call. So I think this has been awesome, guys. Obviously, don't be blowing Trey up. I know now that I went to this meeting, I'm not like an expert like Trey, but I do know enough to kind of tell you about the system, what's going on. So if you guys have any questions, reach out to me. Again, we just want to make sure you guys have all the ifs, and buts about it. You know that you're being recorded, so don't do anything dumb because if you do something dumb, I'm going to be like, that guy's not on my team, even if they are. So be smart, guys. And I think this can be really scalable for the right people. And I think it's really exciting. So, Trey, thank you so much for hopping on with us. And you're the bomb. And thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me. You guys have a great night.
You too. All right, guys, let's get back to March Madness, sales showdown, and let's start crushing it. I'm excited to see what happens this week. So, love you guys. Talk to you soon.